Greetings and salutations. My name is Michael Schwahn and welcome to the channel. We have some more reaction content for you, and today we are revisiting Biomutant. Biomutant actually comes out in a week from when this is being recorded, which is May 18th. It'll probably be posted like May 19th, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's coming out in a week. And we already checked out a trailer for Biomutant before, and we didn't like it very much because of the way that it had been edited, and the presentation itself, it definitely felt like it was hiding things is the best way that I can describe it. And there's been a lot of buzz, a lot of talk about that opinion, but regardless of that trailer and that video and stuff, there has been many trailers that have come out since from different outlets, interestingly enough, and they all break down different parts of the game from what I can tell. And we're going to be checking out multiple of these trailers in this one video and seeing if this game looks any better than it did like a month and a half ago when we watched that other trailer that was very off-putting. So let's start actually with this new gameplay today trailer. This came out on May 5th, so about 2 weeks ago. And it's from Game Informer, so show us something good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another new gameplay today. I am Alex Stadnick, Game Informer's largest video editor. Joined with me today, the incomparable Marcus Stewart.
Okay, we actually have unedited, uncut gameplay.
Medium-sized editor.
Indeed he is. And then you know him, you love him. He's top 10% in the world in Warzone. Blake Hester.
What's up, Alex?
How you doing?
Right at the top, excited to check out Biomutant.
So, yeah, we are looking at Biomutant today. The new open world RPG from Experiment 101, correct?
Yes, Experiment 101.
Dude's a mini
published
boss
by THQ Nordic.
Yep, and you actually got a chance to go hands-on with this, hands-off?
There's so much blur in the background.
What'd
you
Holy
think?
shit.
I think it's cool. So everything we're seeing here,
I think it's
kind of
cool.
some edited footage of the hands-off event that I got to see last week.
Hands off?
Yeah, my immediate reaction was, wow, this looks really cool. It needs to come out already because I've been waiting for years for this to happen.
For real, this was announced in what, 2017?
Yeah.
And
So it's been around for a hot minute.
it's been a minute, yeah. But I'm excited by what I'm seeing for sure.
Is there any specific like lineage to this developer? You know, or are they just like kind of a new double and a half A-ish studio? Do they come from anywhere else? Do we know anything about them?
I don't personally. It feels like I think this is their first.
I really wish
project.
these guys weren't talking.
As far as I know, don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
Sure.
But regardless, we do know it is a smaller team, like Blake said, a more of a double A developer. But it sounds like this has. Wait a minute, that's our logo. That was that was our NGT logo. We have to
I'll
talk
start
about
drafting up a cease and desist.
that. Yeah, but you know, as the years went on, it sounds like this development process got more and more involved, and the scope got bigger. And did they talk about that at all with you, Marcus?
I mean, this looks
Yeah,
better
or at least they
already.
kind of went through just a walkthrough of like the different systems and how big the world is. So as we're kind of seeing here, we're kind of slowing down. We're talking to this weird badger-looking guy.
I'm getting some
And
outward
they broke down
vibes.
like how the world is divided into like 7 different biomes. As you can kind of see here, we got this nice little panoramic shot of the world. We got to look at the combat. We got some story stuff, which is probably
We got gliders.
element that is,
Open world games aren't
probably
complete
the
anymore without
showcase
gliders.
Is the narrative stuff.
Yeah.
And it's basically set in this post-apocalyptic world where it's like this tree of life that kind of, you know, as the name implies, gives life to everything, but it's dying because this oil has seeped into the roots, and so you're kind of trying to save the tree from withering away, as well as getting rid of these like world eaters that are attacking the tree. But on top of that, the game has like a tribe system where there's 6 different tribes that you can ally yourself with, and depending on how you interact with them, it can, like, the story can go different ways. It's not unlike Fallout New Vegas, at least.
Oh, interesting.
What it sounds like, and that kind of encourages multiple playthroughs. I'm like, I'm going to team up with this tribe and see where that goes.
Sure, okay.
As you can see, there's a bunch
Initially, I
of
was
different
wondering if
vehicles
this is
that you can
multiplayer,
command,
which
is
it might
also
have a
one of the
multiplayer
big
component
takeaways
to
out
it,
of this
but
game. Like you saw the glider earlier. There's a mech suit.
it's not a
here that you
focus,
can
I don't
find.
think.
There's like
This is awesome.
animal mounts that you can get. There's that boat that you saw earlier. There's no shortage of ways of getting around in this game.
That's amazing. And judging from the combat here, it looks super fluid the way you switch between, you know, swords and your physical weapons and your guns too. Like, it looks great, and like the style of it is very interesting to me. I'm just so curious on how it actually feels to play it. So, and we don't know that yet, but I know I'm excited about that.
Yeah, like the combat's like
it's not a good
heavily based
sign.
in martial arts, so it's got like a full combo system, and then your weapons also have combos too. You craft your weapons from like different parts.
That's standard
So, like, they
yellow
have different properties,
interactables,
including like elemental stuff like fire and ice. And what's really cool is that you can create up to 5 different loadouts, which includes your like armor sets as well, and you can swap between all 5 of them on the fly at any time.
Oh wow!
So it saves a lot of time going into menus and stuff. And here's a cool little part where, in addition to the giant world, there's an entire underground area as well, like this sewer network that you can explore.
Interesting.
You see him walking around here, and as you saw earlier, there's a bunch of different objectives in the world. They emphasize.
Still makes me a little
talking to
nervous that they
NPCs
didn't
is
show
important
us,
because not only will it give you missions, but they'll point you.
no one's
towards,
actually
like, kinda
played
hidden
it yet.
entrances to like dungeons and caves and rewards.
Like, they're
and stuff.
showing a lot, but they're being very
Yeah, so you just want to talk to them because they're just
limiting
weird
in
and
how they're
interesting.
showing stuff.
Yeah.
And there's also a system called Aura, which is basically a morality system where they stress
Random
it's not,
loot. Okay.
It's like not quite good and evil. It's more like light and dark. In that, you know, there's a bunch of different choices you'll make through the game. The tribe stuff kind of plays into that in terms of how you interact with people. And then if you talk to characters that have a similar aura, your interactions with them will be easier. And, you know, the opposite's true. If you have someone that has conflicting aura, you can still deal with them, but it'll be just different.
For sure. So I know you said your
Oh
choices
boy,
kind of
random puzzles.
change the game in certain ways. Are there multiple endings to this? Have they said?
Yeah, so they said there's 2 major endings for the main story, but the tribe stuff kind of has its own kind of meta narrative that can conclude in a
Old
bunch
school
of different ways,
Bioshock,
depending on,
man.
like, just how you go about dealing with the different tribes.
Okay.
But yeah, the main story has 2 different endings.
Okay. Cool. You'd love to see it.
So you saw that little grasshopper thing? We saw it a little earlier. That's called an automaton, and you collect those throughout the game. And basically, they're like a little robot that you can send into areas that you can't.
They're your
access,
Jiminy
and they'll
Cricket.
find like rewards as well as like even quests for you. And so we just found a rare version of one there. So those are important to kind of keep in mind.
Cool.
Marcus, were you able to get an impression on whether or not this game is set in the CBFDCU, the Conquer's Bad Fur Day cinematic universe?
Oh my god.
You know, I sent some questions to them. I did not include that one, but I think I can get them on the horn confirmed because I could see that. It almost reminds me actually of like a scrappier Ratchet and Clank in a way too.
Sure, yeah.
The wacky weapons
Whoa.
that you have, and then of course the protagonist being this weird amalgamation of like a cat, raccoon, dog, whatever you want it to be.
The fur looks great. I don't think we've called that out yet. There was a close-up of one of
mount
the
can
player
swim.
characters earlier in the footage, and the fur is amazing. This game looks fantastic.
The color palette is great too. Like this looks, I guess, no shade.
I feel like a lot of
absolutely
stuff
whatsoever,
about
but, like, I
Biomutant
wasn't
has always
expecting
looked pretty decent, though.
It's good. You know what I mean? Like
In terms of, like,
the lighting looks
the
great,
visual
the
presentation.
particle effects, I'm here for it.
And I also love the character designs. Like everything in this game just looks so weird. Like look at this big guy here. He's like a big leopard-looking guy.
Oh yeah.
Like, the
And it
concern's
feels
been the
like there's a
gameplay,
level of
not the
I know it's
visuals.
Kind of cliche at this point in games, but it's like it feels like there's a level of customization and personalization where I feel like my character is going.
Those are supposed to be muted.
Than, like,
Oh well.
either one of your guys.
Thanks for the 2 months, Dark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of like when you make a character, you can change the fur patterns and colors. There's a barber in the game that you can go to that can alter that as well. Like you can have like a neon purple-looking dude if you want, and you can kind of see like the combat there. Just so Blake, this will speak to you. We'll see it in a second, but this game has bullet time. I know you're a big Max Payne 3 guy.
Oh wow, I do love Max. I'm excited
this
to
is-
check that out.
Yeah, this is basically Max Payne 4.
Is it,
Oh,
though?
sometimes someone
See, but
makes
look-
it.
There it is.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking earlier, this gets away from the bullet time aspect a little bit, but some of the combat The melee combat kind of looks like a slowed down Devil May Cry, like a later entry. Devil May Cry 5, I guess, is an apt comparison. Like, if you just slowed that combat down, you kind of have what we're looking at here. Did you get a sense of how deep that combat was? Or is it just kind of like hacking and
It's hard to
slashing?
tell how deep
It depends on
combat
your
is when your
weapon.
hands
so I
off.
understand the weapons all have different combos tied to them, and that like it's both melee and guns. So it's almost like depending on what you decide to make, because you can craft anything in the game. Like you'll see later that you can make weapons from different parts. So here's an important thing. So the biomes all have different kind of like environmental hazards to them. Like there's this radioactive zone that you can see, and it's kind of represented in all purple. There's like other areas that are kind of like neon green.
I
so
don't
it's
think
like a
they're
visual
really
representation
showing
of,
us
like, oh,
anything
this zone
else
is
that's
great.
relevant at this point.
How high your resistance.
Okay, let's check out. This is actually from THQ Nordic. So this is something more about like, and this is from the company rather than a bunch of dudes at Game Informer talking. And this is called the explanation trailer. And this one came out today. Sell me your game.
So, what is Biomutant in a nutshell? Biomutant is an open-world, post-apocalyptic kung fu fable.
I realize this is called an explanation trailer, but at the same time, like, why is so much of the stuff regarding this game a bunch of people talking about it?
Basically, in terms of structure, it's like Zelda Breath of the Wild, I guess. But
You don't
the
say.
feedback that's that we've been getting over the years, it's that it kind of a strange, weird, good mix between
Are you
Ratchet
sure?
and Clank, Devil May Cry, Batman Arkham, yeah, and a couple of other influences. So it's truly an open world game, 8x8 kilometers, filled with a lot of weird events and fun things to find. I think the primary thing that we worked a lot with is the control that the player have over the character customization. We have the possibility for the player, to set the attributes, and in Biomutant, that's tightly connected or integrated with the way that the character looks. But the player is like completely free to morph their own breed, we call it a breed, but mammal, if you will. And eventually, people have a lot of assumptions on what kind of animal this is. But for me, and I guess the team, we have allowed the player to make what I call, more like a Muppet.
The animal is whatever
With
animal
character
you want it to be.
customization, it goes all the way down to crafting bits onto your clothes or hats or pants or whatnot. I guess the most important thing is the arsenal or the weapons. I mean, it's an action role-playing game, right? So we're focusing on the action part.
the currency leaves?
Aspect. Each part that you can find for weapons and gear also comes with like a material, a quality aspect, so they can be more damaged or of a higher quality material. Just mentioning that you don't have to repair, but you can actually upgrade things that are broken. But
You don't have to
they will
repair
never
shit. Oh, good.
Diminish in terms of their material
Open
qualities
world
like in Sifu.
crafting.
We don't do that.
We don't have survival yet.
In the game, you have 6 different tribes, so they're all composed of, a leader, a Sifu, if you will, that have mastered a specific Wang Fu combat style and trained his disciples in that. So these tribes are now in conflict. Basically, there are 3 tribes that have what we call a light aura. So basically a good karma, if you will, if you want to paint it.
This
black
is a
and
much
white.
better talkie
And there
video,
are
I'm
3
just saying.
tribes that have like a dark aura. Eventually, at the start of the game, you will find that you have to choose an ally, so one of these 6 tribes. As you move along or go further into the game, you're free at any time to change your allegiance. But at the start of the game, you choose one of these 2 tribes. And basically, at that point, the state of the world is represented by the huge tree that's at the heart of the 8x8 kilometer open world. So it's a representation.
He's mentioned this 8 kilometer by 8 kilometer thing a couple of times, which, like, how big is that? Because every game, like, there's multiple games that are like, it's a kilometer by a kilometer. Based on what? What are you using as a reference? Because, like, how tall is this character. Are they a meter tall? Are they a inch tall? Are they 3 meters tall? For instance, like Risk of Rain. Risk of Rain, it's your character is actually like 13 feet tall based on their measurements that they try to use. So it doesn't mean much except for we think it's big, and that's it. But big also, like, if we look at games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it can also just mean that you just filled it for the sake of filling it, which makes me nervous.
Presentation of the world either going under or the world surviving. So this is all tied to the tree of life. A light or a tribe, they want to save the world, so make sure that the tree survives, and also then uniting the other tribes, whilst allying with dark or a tribe would mean the opposite. They believe that the only way that you can move forward is to make sure there's kind of a cleansing, I guess. So making sure that everything that's
maybe not a good
bad
time to use those words,
kind of
man.
goes under, so you have a rebirth and start anew, if that makes sense. So you're very free to make this choice, but also bear in mind that that will affect the ending of the game. Obviously, game being called Biomutant has to have some form of mutations slash abilities, right? There's quite a wide range of them.
Katamari
Primarily,
Damacy.
we have the biomutations, so those are kind of more physical abilities, if you will. So for example, you can spawn a mushroom in front of you. That has multiple uses, if I just use that one as an example, in terms of creative freedom for you as a player. Combining this jumping up on the mushroom with, let's say, just electricity shooting out from your fingers, like the Emperor in Star Wars, or once the...
Are you allowed to say those
airborne,
words when you're
like
trying to
the
sell a
enemy,
product?
just going up there, unleashing some other kind of strange abilities. I don't want to go into all of them. But the other aspect is the psi mutations. So those are more like your, X-Men style abilities, if you will. Like, for example, levitate, which again can give you both exploration opportunities, but also then you can use it in combat in conjunction with other abilities, and obviously ranged combat, so that will give you an advantage, I guess. You're wanting to keep on exploring the world because you're wondering what's going to be, around the next corner. And I guess the hope that we have,
Like, look
as
how
a
small
group,
they
as a
look.
team, is that that's going to be the unifying factor in terms of people playing the game and giving us feedback. That it's notable that the game has a soul or a vibe that is a little bit unique and
Hold on. Okay, so like, yes, feedback's important, but you're gonna get criticism no matter what. You're hoping that it's good, but it also sounded like you were wanting to make changes based on player feedback when this game is now going to be for sale in a week and for $60. Like,
special. That's my highest hope for the game, I guess.
I don't know. I'm still not really sold on this. I'm really not. Like, so, and I'll reiterate a couple of things that I said in the other trailer reaction video, which is the game visually looks nice. It's a pretty game. I like the world design. I like the character design. I like the, like, not steampunky, but like almost like Mad Maxy style of like tech that they got going on. The psi power thing is cool, but like the general visual presentation, even some of the combat does look decent. But the way that they've been presenting the gameplay for Biomutant makes me exceptionally skeptical. Incredibly skeptical. We watched that initial trailer of the gameplay that was being shown through Game Informer, and it was hands off. And they even said the exact same thing of like, I can't wait to actually get to try this. And it makes me nervous that they're like giving this like hands-off footage and these presentations, and they're a brand new company and they've not let anyone touch it, which, I mean, by all means, you don't have to. Movies largely work the same way in terms of like, you just go see it, and if it sucks, that sucks. But it doesn't have to work that same way for video games, and this game still makes me nervous, especially being from a new company that doesn't have a history of game development. This is their first project. This project has been being worked on for a very long time. It's clearly ran into several issues as they've gotten new funding and connections to like Epic Game Store for funding, and there's just so many things that make this look like it's going to not be very good. And I still feel that way. I get the impression we're going to get a very visually enjoyable open world RPG that is very shallow. And it sounds like they started to bite off more than they could chew. Their ambition outgrew their own ability in terms of we want these different types of gameplay. We want these different zones, these different things we're taking inspiration from. And he mentioned taking things like from like, I think they were Fallout and Devil May Cry. And what else did he mention? So many things that he mentioned. It's like, okay, but all of those things largely focus on the one thing that they do, and they try to do them really well. And if you just try and take small pieces of what you think is good from those things, generally you do all of those things in a mediocre way. And I'm really concerned that Biomutant is just going to be a massive mediocre game that is just completely tied down by what it was trying to do and trying to be. But I could be wrong. If that last video of mine, in terms of the last Biomutant video we did, is any indication, there's people that are like, I don't give a shit. Fuck yeah, Biomutant. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, Biomutant. Cool, do it. Get you some. Not for me and not for $60. I have to wait for reviews for this, for people that actually get paid to review stuff, and even then probably still have to wait for a heavy sale. With the exception of if someone is like, it is incredible, and if I get that from like 15 people that I trust, I'm like, well, this game must be fucking incredible. But then you have the problem of that, like, can the game actually meet up to the hype of the people around me? But I don't know. What did you think? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Is it like, am I missing something? I had many people be very vocal about the things that they thought were so incredibly great about Biomutant coming out soon, and I'm not sure if I feel any different than I did before. We saw more, and it looks okay, but there are people that are just like fervently like starving for this game. What am I missing? What is the appeal that you're seeing that I'm not? What is looking good enough to the point that my skepticism needs to be ignored? Please leave those down in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, you can also catch up with us on Discord and Twitter. And speaking of Discord, we do these reactions live on stream, and some of these trailers, including many of the ones that were presented here, are actually, thank you for the gifted sub, Dindin, are actually provided by the community, and we have a channel dedicated to them in the Discord server. And you're more than welcome to drop your own reaction trailers as well, and we can check them out together. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please check it out. We're actually going to go check out something else now. So if you do, go watch one of the other videos on the YouTube channel, or if we see you in one of these live streams, thank you and enjoy. Peace out.